This is Solve It for Kids.
Hello, my amazing and curious friends. My name is Jennifer, the Dean of all things STEM and STEAM, and this is Solve It for Kids. Wishing you all a very happy Earth Day.
Yay!
We are the podcast that gives kids and families a peek inside the real world of scientists, engineers, and experts as they solve problems in their jobs using creativity, cooperation, and critical thinking. And now please welcome to the show my podcast partner, Galactic Space Geek, Jeff Gagne.
Hello, Jennifer, and hello, listeners. I can't wait to dive into today's Earth Day guest because Earth Day links us back to space, whether you know it or not, with the Apollo 8 moon mission.
Yes, that's very intriguing. So what problem are we solving today?
Why are whales important?
Why are whales important? Oh my gosh, some of my most favorite creatures on the planet. I think we're gonna have so much fun talking about whales that are like literally in my own backyard. Who is our guest today, Jeff?
I am jealous of that, Jennifer. Today, we have a wonderful guest who is going to help us learn more about it. We have Dr. Emme Devonish. She is, in her daytime job, a leadership and executive coach and consultant. She is also an Amelia Island Whale Ambassador.
Welcome to the show, Dr. Devonish.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jeff and Jennifer. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, we are thrilled to have you, and we're going to talk about a lot of cool things, especially whales, which are in my own backyard because I live in Jacksonville. So I'm like, wow, they're that close. But what I want to know is, as a kid, were you always interested in whales and like animal conservation?
As a kid, I was always interested in the ocean. And I will say that because I spent a lot of time at the ocean growing up. So it's always been, I love the water. I'm always the happiest when I live by the water. And
Me
through that
too.
connection, I really learned to appreciate nature. And then, you know, all things nature related, hiking, birds, trees.
Exactly.
I don't have any domesticated animals, but I like to see them in their natural habitat.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Nice. So if you don't mind my asking, where did you grow up? And when you went to the ocean, which kid were you? Were you the collecting shells, laying on the beach, or were you always in the water?
I think I was a combination of always being in the water, swimming to take breaks, as well as walking along, you know, the shoreline, collecting shells, but putting them back in. I would rarely pick something up and take it with me because I just like to leave it where it was. And I felt like it had a purpose there and it wasn't for me to take something away from that beauty. So I like to go and appreciate. Like growing up, I grew up in a lot of different places. So I had lots of opportunities to live by the ocean. I've lived on an island. I've lived places along the coastline. You know, my family traveled a lot. And as an adult, I had the opportunity to both live in California. So I was in Southern California, only 7 minutes from the beach. So that was fantastic.
Wow.
Nice.
And yeah. And I also got my PhD in film studies from the University of Sydney. So I was by the water for several years.
Oh my gosh.
A great place to do your dissertation.
I would imagine, yes. So can you tell us some of the cool ocean creatures that you saw in all of these different places?
Outside of creatures, I really love coral. I think it's absolutely gorgeous, right? And that's something I thought was everywhere I went. So it's also surprising to me to see that the coral population has declined because I grew up seeing coral, but I really loved coral. I've seen, you know, dolphins, which is popular here in the United States and it's popular, especially in Florida. You know, we see dolphins all the time. So it's dolphins. I saw things like unusual fish, like kingfish.
Oh, wow.
So, so, you know, just different looking types of fish and other types of sea life.
Wow.
Okay. Since coral was the first thing you said, when you grew up, did you become a scuba diver to spend more time in the water?
I didn't become a scuba diver, but I mean, I swim and snorkel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Scuba is sort of, so for me, I have this strange notion that, as a human walking the planet, that my role is to be here on the surface and maybe a little bit further down, but to leave those further down, leave them alone, and let them have their peace.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can watch National Geographic.
There you go. I'm the same way. I mean, I can't scuba because I have an ear issue that doesn't allow me to go further, but I kind of feel the same way as you. I think snorkeling is amazing. So how did you get involved with whales? Because, that's a very specific animal. And, especially I think, what kind of whales do you come here for Amelia Island?
Yeah, so the North Atlantic right whale are the whales that we are involved in. So I first got invited to participate in a writers' retreat called the Metanoia Retreat for Writers and the Right Whale in 2021, in April 2021 on Amelia Island. And so it was the end of the calving season for the whales. But that 4 or 5 day period, we did a lot of writing and a lot of community projects involving the whales. And I just was immediately enamored with the grassroots efforts, how whales are important to us and what I can do to help as a writer. And also because I love Florida so much and I, just kept coming back here. Yeah.
So I think you just said it yourself, but our main question for today is, why are whales important?
Yeah, so whales are really important to our ecosystem. They help us breathe. So they feed on plankton and phytoplankton. And during that photosynthesis process, they, carbonize the carbon dioxide and they release oxygen into the atmosphere. And that's something we all could use a lot more oxygen. So we all know about pollution.
Agreed.
Yes, we all know about climate change. But that's really important. Whales are also important to the ocean itself because they help to regenerate ocean life and the food sources that they leave after they expire. It's about a 50-year span of resources for other sea life. So, so whales are really important for that reason as well.
So what are some of the things that the Amelia Island Whale Ambassadors do? Like, it sounds like such a cool job. So what do you guys do for them?
Yeah, so the main purpose of the group is education and awareness. So we have a lot of events where we talk to schools. So we're educating people in the schools. We're educating captains on boats about how to right whale, what to do if you spot one, and efforts involved in protecting them. And so we partner with a lot of other organizations like NOAA and IFA, which is the International Fund for Animal Welfare, Oceana, as well as Blue World Research Institute. So where Joel Cohen is one of the filmmakers there, he does a lot of filmmaking of right whales and posts that. And we talk to everyone in NOAA involved with the North Atlantic right whale. So the North Atlantic right whales come down from Canada. That's where they start. They take it's about 2,500 miles. So they start along the shoreline there where they feed and they live and they play and they make their way down to Amelia Island so they can give birth to their calves. So and they do that between November 15 and April 15 of every year.
Wow.
It sounds like such a big journey and such a big sort of part of life on Earth. Just whales doing that whole migration. And did you end up at a specific event? And what about that event sort of tugged on your heartstrings that got you to want to become involved as a whale ambassador and not, say, a coral ambassador or a jellyfish ambassador to do something else?
Well, if you've ever been to Northeast Florida and you've ever spent any time on Amelia Island and Fernandina Beach, you'll see how peaceful and beautiful it is. It's the Northeast and the Atlantic. I've always loved the Atlantic Ocean, and that's probably because when I grew up, I spent most of my time on the Atlantic Ocean and in those waters. So, and when you see that and you think about preserving nature and living harmoniously with our ecosystem, you can't help but love the North Atlantic right whale. And if you've ever watched any of the films that have been produced about the life of the right whale or saving the right whale, you're going to need some Kleenex because it's really, really touching. And the fact is, the whales are almost near extinction, mainly due to humans, not because of some other factor. So the main causes are vessel strikes. So vessels that are going too fast. And right whales are hard to spot because they don't have any dorsal fins and they swim really close to the shoreline. That makes it difficult to spot them. There's also, in terms of fishing, they get entangled in the ropes. So there's a big push to have, ropeless fishing gear. It's a change because you need technology, you need investment, you need cooperation of the fisheries, et cetera. That's a long process, but we don't know how much time we actually have, because the last count was there were approximately 340 right whales left in existence. And in this season, we've had about 74 right whales were spotted along the northeast coast of Florida from Amelia Island all the way down to St. Augustine. And of the 74, I think 17 calves were born so far this season, which is a lot. Yeah, because there was a lot. There's a lot. There was a drop since 2017. So the numbers are slowly coming back up, but we need that to be more like 60 or 70 to bring the population back. Yeah.
So do you actually get to be one of the spotters? Like, how do they see them then? Is it just like when the water spout or like?
Yeah. So there's a program where you can be, so I'm a whale spotter, right? So there's a program, that another organization manages where you can be trained to be a whale spotter. And Amelia Island Whale Ambassadors, we put people in touch with that. And we have dates, once every 3 months or something, where people can come and participate in the training. And then they have to take an exam. Because it's a very, there's certain things. So the whales swim very close to the shoreline. They just look like a black log. But there are certain characteristics the right whales have. So they're usually dark. They're very dark. So look at a very dark log, no dorsal fin. They have a V-shaped blow, which is a little bit different. And they have white callosities on their heads. So they look like, just little white bumps on their heads. But there's a way with the videos and the training programs that you're able to spot them. And then if you spot a whale, there's a number that you can call or text to tell, where on the beach you spotted it, what direction it's going, et cetera, and to make sure that people don't go to approach the whale.
I mean, that kind of makes sense, but I guess you actually have to say that, right? Like, don't take your boat close to the whale, which is kind of...
You have to say it because they need to stay at least 500 yards away from the whale. But that also involves like humans, right? So you don't want to see the whale and be out there surfing and try to get to the whale or swim to the whale or do anything out of curiosity. So that's very unsafe.
Yes, for you and the whale.
Yes.
So with the count of the right whales right now being in that 340 range, that sounds just really low for any animal on the planet.
It's a really low number. Yeah. And right whales are protected. They are protected by the Endangered Species Act, and there's other legislation that's also underway right now that Cory Booker, the senator from New Jersey, had proposed to further protect the right whale and to have funding. And currently, right whales are also protected by the Marine Mammal Protection Act. But even with all of those protections, it's still not enough. And so we also educate people on how to contact your representative, how to write to support the legislation that's in Congress, how to advocate to get more funding, and to explain, why the whales are important to us as humans, because whales literally help us breathe. So
yes.
Yeah, that's one we can't forget. We all kind of like breathing.
Yeah. Oxygen is important.
Exactly.
Yes. With so few, we've heard stories that some animals have been brought to the brink of extinction, mostly because of humans, and then brought back. Can you sort of start telling us the story of how will that happen for the right whales? You just
Sure.
mentioned the calving time of year and sort of how many whales sort of need to get born. I kind of want to piggyback on that question with the 340. Do we know where they all are?
Yeah, so we don't know where they all are, but these different organizations that I had mentioned in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
they
Right?
follow the right whales. Scientists follow them. Some of them are tagged, some of them have names. And
Okay.
when the calves are born, they get names as well. So, for example, one right whale named Halo this season had a calf, and so
Nice.
that calf will get a name. Another right whale named Pilgrim this season had a calf, and that calf will also get a name. And then if we can, that calf also
Okay.
gets tagged and hopefully will not be hit by a vessel strike, which unfortunately did happen to one of the newer calves already this season.
Oh
So
no.
which is really sad. But the verge of extinction story is an interesting one for the right whale because the right whale got its name in the 1890s when people used to hunt whales for
Yes.
survival purposes.
Okay.
And they killed the right whale because of the blubber. The right whales were considered the right whale to hunt because they floated. Yes.
Ah.
And so
Got
they were hunted to near extinction. And, over time were brought back to a certain level. And then since 2017 to, let's say, 2023, the numbers dropped really low again as, there's, as I said, the vessel strikes, entanglements, climate
Wow.
change, as well as noise. Ocean noise also affects the whales. So
Oh.
there's also research and technology being done to change the sounds and lower frequencies so that if the whales are in the area, that sound is not interfering with their sonar sounds as well.
Right.
So
Oh,
that's very
okay.
technical, but that's also something that's underway. There's also the annual Right Whale Festival held on Amelia Island the first November of every year, and that's a huge event.
Oh. Well, I'm gonna have to go to that. We've lived here for forever. I didn't even know of that. That
Oh
sounds
yeah.
really cool. So I'm just curious, and this is kind of a basic question, but how big are right whales? Do you know?
The size of a school bus.
Oh,
If you
they're
think
not
about
Wow.
that's not that big when you think of whales, though, really?
Well, I don't know if they were larger, just like
Huh.
some species were larger and have decreased through evolution and adaptation and other things. So I don't know if they were originally larger, but if you think about the sizes of school buses, then that's how you can think of the right whale. About
Wow.
35 feet. Yeah, it's bigger than that, but for a visual, if you
Right.
think about a school bus and you just expand a little bit on each side.
No, I mean, I love
And
that
you get it.
analogy.
They can be
Yeah.
up to 52 feet, we say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, but I like that analogy because it immediately puts a picture in your head of its size. I like that.
So, with the whales and being a whale ambassador, what does that mean for you? Like, do you attend a certain amount of events a year where you are sharing the education and doing the outreach? What does that mean for you, Em?
Yeah. So for me, it means that I attend the Right Whale Festival every November, both days, and I volunteer
Okay,
full days, both
November.
days. And so that's as an educator. So there's always a table for children at the event where we have puzzles and quizzes and games and things all about the right whale that children can get involved in. We also have merchandise that we sell where all of the money goes
Oh, that's
toward
good.
education and raising awareness about the right whale. And the art that's sold is by a local artist on Amelia Island, Deb Strobel. So she designs all of the everything. So
Nice.
every image of the right whale that you see on the cups, that you see on t-shirts, that you see on bags,
Very
that you see
cool.
on flags. And the flags are really important because if you buy a flag, you put the flag out if right whales are in the area. So typically calving
Oh,
season, if you have the right whale flag on
Right.
your front lawn, that's a reminder that that's the season and they're out there. So that's another signal to individuals. It
That's
also
smart.
means, yeah, thank you. It also
yeah.
means that we have meetings. We have meetings where we, coordinate other educational events at schools for that. There are also things that happen in Northeast Florida, such as there are two festivals coming up in May. One is the Shrimp Parade, on Amelia Island. And so we're going to have a float of a huge right whale.
Oh, cool.
For that.
Cool.
Yes, so that's another opportunity for that. And there's also Wild Amelia. That's also in May. And that's more of like a conservation, environmental, everything, turtles, everything about Amelia Island. So we'll also have a booth there where we educate people about the right whale.
That's so cool. So can anybody be a member of the Amelia Island Whale Ambassadors?
Anyone can be a member. And in fact, before I became a member, I was on the Northeast, but I just loved it so much. And I knew I was moving to Florida. I thought, I'm going to get started now. And so I flew down for the festival and volunteered to do that because that's how important it is. We should all care about the North Atlantic right whale.
So how can people find information about this?
Well, people can find information by going to just the easiest thing is just Google right whales or North Atlantic right whales, or Google Amelia Island Whale Ambassadors.
Okay.
And you will find that information. There's also lots of information on NOAA's site, as well as Oceana has a great description of the North Atlantic right whale. They also have, I think if they still have it up, there's also a game and a trivia thing that parents can do at home.
Oh, fun.
Children.
Oh,
yes,
neat.
to do that as well. So that, I don't know if it's still on their website, but it was during the festival.
That's fantastic.
That's very cool. So I work in a planetarium, and one of our shows here is actually a documentary called Humpback Whales.
Mm-hmm.
And people absolutely love the show. And I think whales are one of those animals that just sort of captures everybody's fascination because of how big they are. I think part of the fascination is because they're mammals and they breathe air, but a lot of folks, just the general public, just kind of forgets that part. Mm-hmm. Yes, they are sea creatures, but there's that oxygen thing that you were mentioning before, Dr. Devonish. Very important. And I think as soon as you start learning about whales, I think it becomes one of those topics where, oh, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. And wow, these animals are fascinating.
Yeah.
Is there something about a right whale that you have found fascinating in terms of just that species? For example, to give you an talking about, the humpback whale does a neat thing called a circle net feeding. And they actually feed as a group. They have a coordinated effort that they do to all get fed. Is there something like that with the right whales you could tell us about?
Yeah, I think the right whales are interesting because they look so different from, let's say, the largest whale, the blue whale, or the gray whale, or the humpback, right? So they're dark. Some of them look jet black, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
Some of them are that dark in the toning of, how they appear. They have smooth edge tails, which are called flukes, basically. That's a little different. And the no dorsal fin makes them, unique. Where, so that's something. And they have these little, they're so cute. They have these little paddle flippers. I don't know if you've ever seen them. But they have these paddle flippers. And just to watch them, because they come so close to the shoreline is really important. And I'm just fascinated also with this whole process of how they intake nutrients, feeding on krill, the small crustaceans and photoplankton, and how that process happens, and releasing the carbon dioxide, how that photosynthesis happens, and then you release the oxygen into the air. So it's like a continuous cycle, right? So when I'm sure when you were in school, when you first learned about photosynthesis, it was just basically plant life, and we just knew the sun and how that works, and that was that. But to have that, to know that also extends to a creature as big as a whale, something that's bigger than a school bus, that could be as large as 52 feet, that helps us in the same way. I think that's extraordinary.
That is. It is. I mean, and you make an amazing point. Well, since this episode is airing on Earth Day, I think you have something very special that you would like to share with us, Dr. Devonish, about whales, and also using your writing background. Yes?
Yes, I do actually. So keeping it at the forefront of our mind that we do not want these whales to be extinct. And so that's why we're working so hard to conserve them and to grow the population and to do all of this outreach and to have technology to help, make fishing safe so the fishermen can have their livelihood. And so we can still enjoy the fish that we enjoy and, and that we could all live together, make this a win-win for everyone. I wrote a poem called 2040 because that is the year that it's forecasted that the North Atlantic right whale would be extinct if we do not up our conservation efforts. So, and it's a haiku. So this is something that I think any student can do. They're fun to do.
Yes.
It's the form of poetry that I first learned as a child. And as you might know, haiku is a Japanese form and it's phonetically based. So when we think about it in terms of syllables, 3 lines, 5, 7, 5, and there's usually, some kind of a cutting word and then a seasonal reference that's incorporated into that. And for me, I think the 2040 is sort of like, well, right now it's the season to do something because if not, we won't have a season after 2040. So that's the way that I think about it. So I'd like to just read you this.
Yes, please do.
2040. Okay. 2040. Anthropogenic, blame humans, hunted right whales, to extinction doom.
Wow. That's very powerful.
Wow.
That's very powerful. So I think that's going to lead into our challenge too, because now I'm curious what your challenge is for our listeners, Dr. Devonish.
So my challenge is for anyone, right? So students, parents, you can do it together to write a haiku about the North Atlantic right whale. And it could be anything. It could be about photosynthesis. It could be about how they swim close to the shoreline. It could be whale spotting, anything related to the North Atlantic right whale.
Yeah, I think that would be great. And then you should all strive to have your haiku be as powerful as Dr. Devonish's. Because I think that's, it's, you hear that and you can't help but feel something, right? Like we have to help save these amazing animals. And, take a look at all of the creatures in the ocean too. But I think that would be great. If any of you guys do a haiku and you want to share it with us, I'm sure Dr. Devonish would love to read it. So, you can send it through us through our website, solveitforkids.com. And we'll also have some cool pictures of the right whale, because now I have to go look these up, right? And compare and contrast different kinds of whales, right?
That's right. And there's an image of the North Atlantic right whale, as well as this poem posted on my website, which is www.mdevonish.com.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes, on the creative page.
This is great. Well, this has been so fun. I have learned so much about, again, whales in my own backyard that I'm going to have to go check this out. Thank you so much for being on Solve It for Kids, Dr. Devonish.
Thank you, Dr. Devonish.
Thank you both for having me. It was a lot of fun. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, you guys.
You too.
Take care. Bye-bye.
I'm with you, Jennifer. Whales are one of the most fascinating creatures of all on the planet, and I had no idea that this species of whale, the numbers were so low. So I love that the Amelia Island Whale Ambassadors compile so much data and information about these whales, share it out with the rest of us. There are so many. I live in Colorado, but thanks to the internet and computers, I can become part of this whale community to understand them better, share it out with the world, and make it a bigger part of my life. That is really cool.
Yeah, it's amazing what they do. The Amelia Island Whale Ambassadors, they do a lot. They work with other organizations up and down the coast. And, they're working to promote information about the right whales, which are amazing, amazing creatures. And I also love how Dr. Devonish, she's a writer and she shared her beautiful poem with us.
Yes.
And then her challenge to everybody else is to write their own poems, right? Or maybe something like that, because I'm not sure I can do poetry. What do you think, Jeff?
So I have dabbled in poetry before.
Okay.
I have never done a haiku, which was Dr. Devonish's specific challenge. If you're willing to go into that, Google what a haiku is. You will find out. And then write your own haiku, preferably about the right whales. And my significant suggestion right here is, if you do not know what they look like, you have to Google some images of right whales. They are a unique looking creature and you will fall in love with them instantly. And it may help write your haiku.
They are beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And if you could draw a picture, you can do any type of art that kind of speaks to you. Make a collage of them, something like that. We would love to see it. Tag us on our social media. We are at KidsSolve at Facebook, X, and Instagram. And don't forget to check out our website, solveitforkids.com, where you can learn more about Dr. Devonish and the Amelia Island Whale Ambassador program. And also, we will have some awesome books for kids to check out if they want to learn more about whales.
And who doesn't want to learn more about whales? As soon as you learn about one, like these right whales, how are you not going to want to learn more about other species of whale as well? Which I will be doing with my daughter Zoe in lots of books. Until next time, you'll hear Jen and Jeff on
Solve It for Kids.